So, a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine, Mr. QDF, got banned for cross-teaming. And I didn't think very much of it, right? But now, it's happened to me too, and I'm angry about it. So let's look into it. Alright, so if I'm making a video on the cross-teaming rules, the first thing we gotta do is read the current rules and see what we can get from them. So here we go, teaming and cross-teaming. We'll start with teaming. Forming a team with another player or players that may consist of not fighting each other, working together, fighting people together, etc. Only punishable in solo game modes. So, not for bridges. This is for like solo survival games, maybe Super Smash mobs, stuff like that. And then there's cross-teaming. Creating a team in a game that has more than 2 teams at any time. Examples, Cake Wars, Bridges, Micro Battles, etc. So, obviously, this isn't worded very well, but what I'm gonna basically assume is that we take this section right here, and then we plug it in right here. So basically, creating a team in the cross-teaming definition would include these things. Alright, fair enough. Now let's look at what happened to me.
Round 1.
So I want to start out by playing the full clip in its entirety. It's just over a minute long, so bear with me here. Alright, so now that I've shown the whole thing, I want to go back through and break it down a little bit more. Clearly, the whole thing isn't cross-teaming, so we can try to pinpoint the actual moments which were important.
Test your might.
So starting off, we can go forward pretty far, because obviously up to point around here, where I'm coming up to Calvin, none of it can be considered cross-teaming. There's just no other player around me. I'm running away from yellow team. Let's see the exact moment we want. Right about when Calvin starts crouching. So, right about there. And like the stuff at the beginning of the clip, everything after Calvin goes out of my field of view right there can't be cross-teaming, because I'm never near Calvin again. Now, I can actually break it down a little more than that. So right here, once I'm past Calvin, I don't have anything to do with Calvin until about right here is where I would be able to attack him. Or we can say, let's be fair, probably right there when I turn around. Nothing in between approximately this moment when I run past Calvin. There he is on the right side until right here where I turn around. Nothing in between there is cross-teaming. I'm not planning on teaming with the guy. I just run past him, and then he decides to follow me, and then he runs past me here. So we can actually cut this middle out, and we're left with just under 8 seconds. So, right here, cut over to here. There you go.
Impressive.
Alright, so looking at the first moment here, where I run past Calvin. Right here, when Calvin starts crouching, okay, he's signaling that he's not going to attack me when I run past. What am I supposed to do? I have 3 options at this point. Option 1, turn around and fight yellow team 1v4 and die. Okay, that's not a very good option. I want to win the game. Option 2, run forwards and attack Calvin and die. Like, even if I somehow manage to kill Calvin, there's 4 yellow guys on top of me at that point. I die anyway. That's no good. I want to win the game. So option 3, run past Calvin. Don't interact with him. Ignore the guy. Just run past. Alright, that's the option I take. Apparently that's no good. I have to stop and either attack Calvin or turn around and attack yellow team. Both of which are nearly 100% chance of death. But apparently, running past Calvin means I get banned.
Finish him!
Now I'm gonna argue there's basically 3 different things that are sort of similar to cross-teaming. First, there's avoiding somebody. Next, there is ignoring somebody. And then there's actually just cross-teaming. So avoiding somebody is not going anywhere near them. Like if I see the person on the bridge 50 blocks away from me, I just stay away, right? And that's what I did in the game up until this point here, where I am basically forced to run down this bridge and Calvin doesn't get out of the way. At this point, I have to ignore Calvin, which is basically I have to come near him, near enough that I could fight him if I wanted to, but I just have to pretend like he's not there and run past him, because otherwise I will lose the game. If I do anything else, I lose the game. And then the third thing would be actual cross-teaming. Mineplex had their definition, but I would say to be actually cross-teaming, there would be a couple things. One would be communicating or coordinating in chat. That's a really easy one. Another one would be not attacking them while you're essentially standing next to them for a prolonged period of time. And then the last one, it's sort of two. It's sharing resources, essentially. So like trading gear with them, giving them arrows or food. And then this kind of also includes trading leaps with somebody.
Fatality.
Okay, so over here looking at the second moment. I've just run past Calvin the first time. And I'm running. I check F5, and I see there's Calvin, there's Jordan, and then I think there's a second player in the background. I guess there's 2 more. One here, one here. So I come up here, put some stew in my inventory, and I stop to eat food. And Calvin's coming towards me. Jordan real close behind him, and then these guys are kind of far off in the distance. So again, kind of similar to the first time, I'm not going to attack Calvin here. There's no way I'm supposed to stop and attack Calvin and then let the yellow guys jump on us. And then the fourth yellow guy is right here. You can sort of see him next to that. There he is. Fourth yellow guy coming in from the other side. So again, if I attack Calvin, even if one of us manages to kill the other before yellow gets there, we're really not escaping the yellow team. It's almost sure death for us to fight here, for us to 1v1 each other. So I'm not going after Calvin. I don't even get that close to him. I could push up here if I really wanted to die, but I kind of just stand back, let him run past. He doesn't attack me. And since the yellow guys back here are far enough away, I think I have a chance to 1v1 Jordan and maybe knock him in the water. Maybe kill him in a 1v1. That's how I can win the game. So I do end up winning, and he runs. And then, at this point, Calvin's already passed. It's no longer cross-teaming.
Round 2.
Alright, so if I don't like the cross-teaming rule now, which just says no cross-teaming whatsoever, essentially in any form, what would I rather have in place of it? Because you probably shouldn't just have every team crossing on each other every game. I think a version of the old rule they had would be better. So the old cross-teaming rules were worded something like this. Teams can cross-team up to the maximum team size. I don't know what the official reason for them switching off of it was. I've never heard. But the problem I ran into with it was that can be interpreted in 2 ways. the maximum team size in the game can either be interpreted as the maximum potential team size for that game type. So for bridges, that would be 10. Teams can normally have up to 10 players on them. Or it can be interpreted as the maximum team size that's in the current match. So if it's a game with like a team of 2 people, another team of 2 people, and a team of 5 people, the maximum team size would be 5. Now, I asked staff members about this plenty of times when it was the rule, and they couldn't seem to agree on it. It's like every time I asked, the different staff member would say a different thing. They kept switching between them. I still don't know what the actual rule was.
Brutality.
Alright, so what I'm proposing then is something more similar to the second case. If it's like a 2v2 v5, you can cross team up to the maximum natural team size in the match, let's say. So the 2 teams of 2 players could cross team because it's 2 plus 2 is 4. It's less than 5 if my math checks out. So how would this work with fights, right? Because say there's 2v2v5 and a big team fight happens and 2 people out of the 5 die. So now it's a 2v2v3 and the 2 teams of 2 are cross teaming. So I'm proposing that you're allowed to cross team until a fight results in the largest team size going below the given cross team size. So this would not mean that as soon as those 2 players died, the cross team instantly has to turn on each other and start fighting. That doesn't make any sense. Or it doesn't mean they'll be banned as soon as there's only 3 players on the 3rd team. The fight would be allowed to finish. So basically, once the fight breaks up and players start to split off, you know, people start to run away and collect gear and do stuff like that. Once the fight ends, that's when the cross team would have to break up. Alright, so another point is that your entire team has to be able to fit in the cross team, right? So if it's like a 3v4 v5, you can't say 2 of our 4 guys are cross teaming with the 3 up to the total of 5. That doesn't make sense. Like, your whole team has to be able to cross. So you can't cross half of a 4 and a 3. That doesn't work. Your whole team has to be able to cross. So that would be a size of 7, and it would exceed the limit. You couldn't do it. I forgot to mention this earlier, so I'm recording it while I'm editing the video. But there should pretty much always be warnings given out in cross-teaming infractions, even if the player has previously had a warning or a ban for cross-teaming. Because the rule is so much up to the interpretation of the player or the staff member. So one mod may consider something cross-teaming that another one doesn't.
Final round.
Okay, so I've gone over my specific ban and what I think they should probably change the cross-teaming rule to. There's one more point, which is kind of like the spirit of the cross-teaming rules. I think it really, cross-teaming rules, the idea is basically you want to keep teams from ganging up to outnumber other teams. You know, if it's like 3v3v3, 2 of those 3-man teams just ganging up on the 3rd one, that's not cool. That's the kind of scenario you should have the cross-teaming rule for. So, like what happened with me, it's a 1v1v4. If the 2 one-man teams cross, why? Why would you be banned for that? I personally don't think that's in the spirit of why you would have a cross-teaming rule. That's not the kind of thing you're trying to stop. And it didn't used to be against the rules. It's not like this is the way it's always been. You used to be allowed to cross-team like that, but now you can't, and I think it's silly.
Flawless victory.
Subscribe or you will be